I live two lives in a sense, and it's an interesting one. I have my main life where I design what I think are really cool contemporary homes, but I also have this sort of secret life on the side, and that's as an adventurer. I've been doing this now for the better part of 15 years, where I travel the world doing what I find very interesting, adventurous, challenging things that just inspire me and inspire others, I hope. My first major expedition was skiing across Alaska's Iditarod Trail back in 2000. That hooked me on the whole idea of adventuring. After that, I would see myself trying to summit all the 10,000-foot volcanoes in Java, Indonesia, which coincided unfortunately with 9/11 and ended up cutting my expedition short because I was basically being hunted by people at the time, and it became a very, very scary experience, and it sort of opened my eyes to the alternate side of adventure. I've hacked my way through the jungles of Borneo, actually retracing an infamous death march called the Sandakan Death March. I've been to the South Pole, I've been to the jungles of Sumatra following jungle patrollers. I've done a lot of things over the years, and I find this sort of diversity of experience really sort of compelling to me. My latest adventure was an I2P expedition, joining Ray's Ahab. We were attempting to run across South America, from the Pacific to the Atlantic, up and over the Andes Mountains, called Andes Run. This was really a new experience for me in a sense that we were attempting to run upwards of 70 to 100 kilometers per day, every day as we crossed the continent. All doing this at the same time, setting out this physical activity challenge to thousands of students across North America. I like to challenge myself, and in turn I recognize challenging myself that potentially I can be inspiring younger people to be challenged as well. I love the idea of actually trying something that there's no guarantee of success in. I was injured on day one.
Just a sharp pain and a pop in the arch of my foot, kind of that back where it inserts. And it's a classic plantar fasciitis thing.
It was serious. We really thought if the next morning, if it was black and blue, I was going to go to hospital. We thought maybe it would have been a detached arch on my foot. But my thought was that if it's not, I'm going to try to go again the next day. And I did, and it got worse, and my Achilles started to go at me. And then I said, well, clearly I'm not going to be able to do this mileage every day from this point. So I stepped out. But with every intent was trying to build back again. And interestingly, the next day after that, I ran through the Andes, 35 kilometers into the mountains, and it didn't get worse. In fact, if anything, I got a little bit better on different terrain. And it started to build from there. And I was being very careful with myself. But before long, I was running 40 plus kilometers a day, upwards to 50 and even 60 kilometers a day by the end, with the injury, getting better, amazingly. The toll of running 2+ marathons a day, it's an interesting one. You don't know what toll it takes until you try it. I suspected it was going to be a horrific toll, to be honest with you. Strangely, your body adapts, and that's the fascinating thing with all this stuff, is that you think you're going to be torn down, but in fact, in a lot of ways, you get stronger. And that's a really cool message, too, for someone who's tired and kids that are maybe saying, oh, I can't do this. Well, you can. You just push through it, and actually you do get stronger and you do get better. Our day-to-day routine was 5:30 a.m. we got up, had a cup of coffee, ate a bit of breakfast, and usually Ray and I were hitting the road around 7:30 in the morning. Then we would begin. And we would stop every 5 kilometers. We'd move forward, we'd stop every 5K, refuel a little bit, move on to the next 5K, another 5K, another 5K, and build that. And we were typically trying to do 50 kilometers by lunch. Take a lunch break for a couple hours, just try to, in the heat of the day, it's very, very hot in South America. And then start up again in the afternoon, and once again, 5 and 5 and 5, and building as far as we can. Ray managed a 100-kilometer day one day, but as is our trip with all the complexities of an adventure like this, the next day, they ran out of fuel in that area of South America. We were a supported expedition, meaning we had camps each day, we had drivers, we had vehicles. There was no fuel. And we had to go out of our way to find gasoline just to move forward. So it became one of these things, you do well, you do less. We did 20K that day. The most amazing part of the journey was ascending through the Andes. And we ascended through the Chilean Andes and then dropped down through the Argentinian side. The only way through is through a tunnel between the two countries. There's a tunnel that is about 5 kilometers long, there's a car tunnel, and beside it there's an old rail tunnel. And the rail tunnel has been closed for years, but the Chilean, Argentinian police authorities up there agreed to open it up for us, and we ran through it.
So cool. This is cool.
And what an amazing experience. We're going through literally the bowels of the earth with mile high of stone above you through this tiny tunnel as we made our way through the Andes. It was really quite a cool experience. It was a tough go on the roads out there, and there is lots of truck traffic. This is the road that connects to Buenos Aires, and there are thousands of trucks. And Ray and I estimated that we were passed by 3,000 trucks a day. And most of them were great. There wasn't a lot of room in these roads, but we had a bit of a shoulder, and we were able to deal with that for the bulk of it. But these trucks are coming through fast, and they're tired, and you never know what's going to happen. Biggest fear for us in the end of the expedition, as the roads narrowed, vehicles from behind, and we had no sense of it, and they're passing from behind and they can clip you and take you out. It became too dangerous, quite simply, with that traffic. We were probably 5 days out of Buenos Aires in terms of our timing. I woke up all confused at about 4 a.m. in the morning with the tent in my face and not understanding what was going on, and we were being hit by a huge storm, and it just didn't let up. It went on for hours and hours and hours and hours, and would continue actually through that day. And we were confronted at a moment at this point in our expedition that we had to follow an old dirt track into Buenos Aires. It was the only safe way in. The main road itself now had gone from being a 4-lane highway with shoulders, which we were using, to a narrow 2-lane road with no shoulder at all, just rutted ditch on the side.
So this is pretty much, well, was the only trail on the side of the road yesterday on the highway where the trucks are screaming by like a couple of feet away. And since last night's storm, this is sort of where we're at.
With the traffic and that volume, you'd be killed. Like, there was absolutely no way to run on this road. So we had to get onto this dirt track. Well, this storm completely flooded the dirt track. It was underwater, and it was underwater for the whole time. And they said, yeah, we need about 10 sunny days for this to clear out. And realistically, looking at upwards of a month, waiting there for a month in order to continue the expedition. Getting to Buenos Aires was a wonderful feeling, and it was a great satisfaction knowing that, wow, we just crossed the continent, and we did an amazing effort in doing so. And Ray was super stoked. I mean, he'd done some amazing mileages out there, and he was very happy with the decision too. I was super stoked because I managed to claw myself back from something that I thought was going to be sort of an expedition-ending injury. One thing I really learned from this, and I definitely did learn something, was that you don't give up. And I guess I've always felt that in terms of being strong and feeling good, I don't give up. But this one, I was injured, and it was a point when you could really understand giving up. And I recognize the importance of team, and it goes beyond yourself. A lot of people are watching what you're doing and recognizing that your actions really can influence others in terms of them potentially quitting what they're doing, or maybe saying, you know, wow, look what happened, look what he did, maybe I can continue on as well. You're living life to the fullest, and you're doing the things you really want to do, and you're living your dreams. And we all should do that, you know, and in a way, we all should be adventurers of spirit anyway, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean climbing Mount Everest. I mean, it could be your own personal adventure. It could be with your job, it could be with your kids, it could be anything, but it's pushing your own limits and, you know, finding your own challenges and not being scared to go after them.